For the first time in my life, I'm finally testing an expensive TV. It's almost Black Friday, and that means I've been getting advertised every single TV ever made. But it's really got me wondering. I'm not really what you call a TV snob. We have a TV in the living room at home, but it's just a 43-inch TV we got from Sam's Club without any research whatsoever. Now I know, a 43-inch TV in the big 2025, it's lame. I have a kid, a company to run, and YouTube videos to make. I don't exactly spend a lot of time sitting on the couch nowadays, unless it's to put on Bluey. However, I did a video recently where we covered this really cool gaming monitor, and it had this awesome mini LED technology. It only cost $250, and it traded blows with my $1,000 Samsung OLED. It was crazy. Between that and the Black Friday ads, it got me thinking, is it time I finally give up my old ways and embrace an actually decent TV? One part of me cries, no, save money. You might need another car seat. My gosh, if you didn't know, those things are expensive. But the other part feels like I'm teetering on the edge of a mountain, curious what will happen if I just jump off. Is this world of new modern TVs really worth the extra dough? Today, we're gonna find out. Especially in this stage of life, converting me will take a lot of convincing. So the first step was actually figuring out which TV to try. I know OLEDs are kind of considered the golden standard, but something about my experience with the mini LED monitor really beckoned me to try and see what that would be like in TV form. I did some digging online and found apparently the Sony Bravia 9 is the best mini LED TV on the market, but it also costs over $2,000 for a 65-inch model. There is no way I'm shelling out that kind of money for Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That's over a month of rent. Besides, that is in premium territory, and I'm looking to dip my toes into the mid-range world of TVs. But there's so many mid-range TVs out there. It's so overwhelming. What if I pick the wrong one and miss out on a crazy deal? Eventually, though, I came up with a sound strategy. The thing I liked best about the mini LED monitor was how bright it got. So I went in search of the brightest mid-range TV I could find. A logical strategy, if I may add. With that, I very quickly found our test subject for today. This is the Hisense U8QG, and at 65 inches, it costs an affordable $1,080. I say relatively because, well, $1,000 is a lot to spend on a TV, at least to me. But walk down the TV aisle at Best Buy and you'll see way bigger numbers. And this TV is apparently capable of 4,000 nits of peak brightness. If you watched the previous mini LED monitor video, you know my fancy OLED only manages 400 nits, which feels plenty bright to me when I'm working. But 4,000 nits? I'm gonna use this thing to get a tan. Honestly, looking through the spec sheet, it seems to stack up with a lot of the actual $2,000 TVs on the market, but for half the cost. Though Best Buy's website says its usual price is over $2,000 and it's on sale. I wonder if that's true or if this is one of those increase the price right before Black Friday, then have it go on sale kind of situations. In any case, this was it. Not just for the good of the YouTube channel, but for myself. I headed to the local Best Buy and picked one up. Am I making a horrible mistake? What of the car seats, I thought? Maybe I'm just used to my tiny TV at home, but at 65 inches, this thing was huge. It barely fit into my SUV, and that boy is supposed to fit an entire kid's soccer team, so I've been told. Once we got it back to the office, I couldn't wait to set it up, and by I mean my beloved husband and employees. What? Don't look at me like that. They don't have to talk in front of cameras all day. I'm sweating in here. I'm glad I made them do it too, because assembling this TV was surprisingly hard. It's not just a couple screws to attach some feet. You have to set it up on a little support thing that don't actually support it, and then you have to disassemble the stand, fish out some screws, and do some integrated calculus to get everything attached. It took 3 people and 30 minutes just to get it set up. Once that was done though, it was time to boot this fella up and see if my money was well spent. In the mini LED monitor video, I became a display knowledge god, and I did as any good TV owner should do and immediately headed to the settings. If you aren't aware, the settings your TV came with are probably awful. All sorts of unnecessary enhancements that actually make the image look worse, less accurate, and mainly just exist to make football look better. But we will be having none of that today. I don't watch football, just so you know. Motion smoothing? Absolutely not. No way I'm paying $1,000 to have everything look like one of those anime 4K 60 FPS videos on YouTube. AI contrast? No thanks. I like my movies not artificially blown out, thank you. Dynamic tone mapping? Remember kids, if you ever see this setting on your TV, you walk away and find the nearest adult. In all, I probably had to dial in in 15 or more settings that made our image inaccurate to get this thing looking the way it should. Too much effort. If you're interested in what settings to change, let me know down below and we'll make a short on it. My TV isn't the only thing that's getting a big upgrade today, thanks to today's sponsor from Cheetah Living. I can now relax in luxury while watching my favorite movies, playing video games, lazing around on my phone, or napping. And boy, do I plan on doing some serious relaxing in this chair. This is the Cheetah Miles Genuine Leather Swivel Glider Power Recliner. And as the name suggests, this chair is fancy. Like, I feel like I should get dressed up just to sit in it fancy. But don't worry, there's no dress code required here. This recliner has turned my living room into my own private VIP lounge. And putting it together was super easy. It didn't require any tools, and the compact packaging made it easy to fit through the door. There's nothing small about this chair. It comfortably sits Jake, who is over 6 feet tall, and me at a respectable 5 feet 2. With stylish and comfortable designs to fit any living room or budget, Cheetah Living has got you covered. Their craftsmanship is top-notch, with hand-stitched leather wrapped around high resilient foam. They clearly cut no corners when it came to making this chair. Everything about it feels premium and sturdy, from the handcrafted frame down to the no-sag springs. And when you recline back a full 135 degrees, you immediately enter relaxation mode. Did I mention yet that it's also fully electric? But it can still glide and swivel a full 270 degrees, which is pretty rare when it comes to power recliners, so you can go ahead and call me impressed. Speaking of power, check this out. The Miles also have these very convenient USB charging ports built right into the side, so you never have to worry about your phone dying on you mid-movie or mid-scroll ever again. Simply plug in, lean back, and relax. Honestly, upgrading my setup with this recliner might be the best decision I've made all year. Sure, the TV is great, but the chair steals the show. So if you're looking for the ultimate living room experience, then click on the link in the description and check out The Miles from Cheetah Living. They're having a massive Black Friday sale where you can get up to $800 off. Now finally, the real experience could begin. I couldn't wait any longer to try this thing out. So instead of loading up some real high quality 4K HDR footage, I went to YouTube and searched 4K HDR. Laugh all you want, but YouTube served me a cool avatar video, and guess what? It looked great. Okay, I'm lying. It looked not exactly ideal. To be fair, the colors looked great already, but the actual image clarity was all blocky and not crisp. Fine, I guess I'll set up some real HDR content and try the TV out in a accurate way. For clarification, I am not a full monitor expert yet. I'm still learning. But Tyson, one of our writers, is obsessed with displays. I've seen him literally stare at the pixels 2 inches away from his face to determine if it's inky black or if it's gray. Anyways, I don't have a Blu-ray player, so the first test I tried was plugging one of our gaming computers into it, calibrating HDR in Windows, which nearly blinded me in the process, and downloading some super duper high quality video files. One of the cool features this TV has that I've never seen before is a full-blown DisplayPort class USB-C port. It supports up to 4K 165 Hz through that tiny little port. No need to buy a fancy high throughput HDMI. Oh yeah, you heard me right. This 4K TV does up to 165 FPS. A TV. This thing probably has a higher refresh rate than your gaming monitor at home. With the PC set up and the files downloaded, the moment of truth. What exactly have I been missing all these years with my little Sam's Club TV? I fired it up and yeah, it looks pretty darn good. I've passed by TVs in stores with crazy colors and contrast and they look great, but it's kind of surreal seeing that thing outside of the store. Like, you would think stores try to enhance it to get you to buy it, but I guess that's actually what it looks like if you take it home. Who knew? Honestly, I've never seen a TV display so many different shades of gray in one screen. It's so bright, yet so dark at the same time. We almost found it impossible to shoot it properly. And that's where all this mini LED talk suddenly matters. If you don't know already what mini LED means, it's thankfully pretty simple and makes understanding why this TV is so cool even easier. Basically, behind a regular LED TV are 2 main layers. One layer are the pixels. They turn red, green, or blue. That part's simple. And behind that layer is some sort of giant light that lights up the pixels. Without that, the pixels need light around them to be seen, like old Game Boy colors at night. Here's the problem with that. That's all fine and well for bright colors. If you want a bright red fire, turn it red and blast it with light. But what about dark scenes? What about a pitch black cave? The giant backlight is still on, so instead of black, the cave is now gray. And that's what makes OLED so cool. Instead of one big uniform backlight, every single pixel can control its own brightness. That's how they get those perfectly inky blacks. The only drawback is those pixels don't get very bright. But then, enter mini LED. The idea is simple. You take big bright LEDs, and instead of one big light or some strips of light, you section them off into LED zones. If you need one section to be bright, you tell that zone to fire. If you need another zone to be off, you turn that section off entirely. So now you can get the inky blacks of OLED while the bright brights of LED. It's amazing. Having that in mind, looking at these videos, I can see the benefits on full display. Even scenes with both brights and darks, the blacks aren't gray, and the light parts have me reaching for my sunglasses. But pretty HDR pictures are just that. They're pretty pictures. This TV also has a high refresh rate, so I plan on using all 165 of those. I may not have a PS5 to test, but you know what I do have. A gaming PC and an employee who owns Xbox Game Pass. And just like that, I booted up this game called Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I've been told is one of the prettiest HDR games out there. We established that this TV looks great with fancy manufacturer videos, but I wasn't exactly betting a regular video game would live up to that curated experience. Still though, I wasn't gonna turn down an opportunity to play games at work for half an hour. That sounds great. Here's a plot twist though, because I think at this moment, this game is probably the best this TV looks the entire video. But unless we shot this in full HDR 1500 and had it professionally color graded, there's no way for you to see what I saw. But believe me when I tell you, it was incredible. Like I said before, the power of this TV was so strong that we just couldn't shoot its entire dynamic range with our current camera. Look, Ori is turning into a blob of light right now because he's so bright. Up until this point, I was impressed, but if I'm being truthful, I wasn't fully convinced it was noticeably better than any other regular TV. Like sure, it looks nice, but I figured I was admiring its nuances because I've become a turbo TV nerd. But playing this game in full VESA certified HDR, it is way better than my cheapo TV at home. I mean it. I watched Superman the other weekend and the colors were so undersaturated. Half the movie was just dark scene where I couldn't see anything and the other half looked very bland. So yeah. To be fair though, the bar is pretty low. My TV is so bad that up until now I thought all the movies and TV shows just had black scenes on purpose. Turns out my TV just couldn't handle all the details. So as impressed as I was, when I went home and slept on it, a nagging concern began to emerge. Sure, it's visibly better than my crappy TV, but what about an even halfway decent TV? Is that difference noticeable then? So I came back into the office the next morning, ready to raise the bar. Obviously, I didn't have a second $500 TV laying around, but I had the next best thing, the AOC mini LED monitor from before. It packs specs that put $500 TVs to shame. So I crammed both it and the TV together and booted them both up. It was time to put this TV to a real test. So I whipped back the HDR videos and put them on both displays. You might not be able to watch this in HDR, but hopefully we've shot it as best as we can. So how do they stack up? Well, surprise, surprise, the $1,000 TV is better. Whoa, who could have seen that coming? But what I'm more interested in is how much better. Is it $500 better? For brightness, both displays do really well. In a scene like this with super bright colors, they both do excellent. Though I have to say the TV is brighter. And of course it is. It can do 4,000 nits instead of just 1,000. In more neutral scenes, we get to the part where the improved color capabilities of the TV really start to flex its muscles. Once again, where the monitor previously made its competition look sickly. Now it is the one that looks like you turned down the saturation as a cruel joke. I will say this difference is less of a night and day one. The colors are better on the TV, but not that much better that if they were in different rooms, you could tell a difference. But by far the biggest difference is in the blacks, the dark sections. Mini LED is all about those dimming zones, and naturally, the smaller the zones, the finer the control you have of the darkness. It'll never be as good as OLED where it's pixel by pixel, but smaller zones means the closer you get to an OLED. The monitor has 336 dimming zones, which for its 27-inch screen means each zone is about 0.9 inches. The TV, by comparison, has over 2,000 dimming zones, over 6 times as many. Though if you think about it, the TV is also 65 inches, which means the zones work out to only 0.1 inches smaller than the monitor. Shouldn't the dimming be exactly the same then? That's what I was thinking at first, but I was a fool who forgot how math works. Yeah, the dimming zones are about the same size, but the TV is nearly 4 times as big. So where 1 inch of the monitor might have been an entire tree, 1 inch of the TV is just a few blades of grass. That means the monitor has to light up its whole zone for the tree gray, and the little shadows under the leaves are all gray. Meanwhile, the TV has way better control. All that nerdy talk is to say, dark detail on the TV is by far better. The monitor does its best with what it's got, but not as good as the Hisense. Its dark areas are so inky black that you might believe it's an OLED if I didn't tell you. And the nice glossy finish on the TV screen helps that farther. So how do I feel about all this? Have I been converted to the evil, temptress ways of fancier TVs? Is OLED slowly becoming a thing of the past? Yeah, I went into this pretty skeptical. With a kid and running a job on my shoulders, I don't watch a lot of TV. The idea of spending more than the bare minimum on one seemed so silly in this current lifestyle of mine. But after this experience, I think I get it. Kids' movies look great on my cheapo TV. Don't get me wrong, but when you watch a film where the camera just picked up way more color and details, my TV does not look good. I think with this specific Hisense TV, you are getting a lot of value. It looks great and it's just so bright. It's so much faster too. Why is it faster? Value and visuals that really do make a difference, and it made my TV at home feel like it's a waste. Actually, that's another benefit. Having a nicer TV like this not only means it will last longer without breaking, but also the technology isn't obsolete as quickly. So I think I could buy a TV and go a whole decade without replacing it if I didn't want to. I've actually heard people tell me this all the time. I've had this TV for over 6 years. And at first I don't believe them until they show me their TV. And it looks pretty good still. So I guess there is value to buying a nice TV. And as I've discovered in this process, there's also the element of not knowing what you're missing. I really thought my Sam's Club TV was totally fine. Now, all the scenes where half the screen is black just was what the director intended. It wasn't until I tried out a more capable TV that I saw what I was missing. And if you're like me and your toddler leaves you no time to watch TV, then hold off on getting a nice TV. But once that toddler grows up and you have way more time to yourself, maybe take the plunge and get a quality mid-range TV. It might be worth it in the long run. Though, now I'm starting to wonder if a truly high-end TV gives you even more value, more visual performance. Surely there's no way, right?